Chelsea stupefy Liverpool. Dortmund and Leipzig share the spoils, whilst Bayern put three past Frankfurt. On Thursday saw City scrape Brentford, Celta Vigo hold Atletico, Sevilla demolish Barcelona, Napoli win late as Juventus and Milan share the spoils in a 0-0 draw. Welcome back to Football Frenzy, and let's kick off and recap the weekend. Without further ado, let's get started. We kicked off in the Premier League Saturday 12:30 kickoff at Ellen Road, Leeds versus Tottenham, and really good game. Honestly, it was a fun game. Um, I'm always a bit very, of the 12:30 kickoffs. A lot of the times they don't live up to expectations. But this one was anything but that. It was really, really fun, really end to end. And I thought Leeds were a bit unfortunate at the end not to come out as winners. A couple of deflected goals from Tell and Kudus made the difference and gave Spurs all 3 points. I'm not sure they deserved it, but again, the way the form that Leeds is in, and Ellen Road being a difficult place to travel, that Tottenham become the first team to win at Ellen Road this season. It's not an easy place to go and win. But I thought Leeds were really impressive. They counter pressed really well, um, and it was a really good game. I thought a lot of good performances. But Kudus was the standout player for me. I thought Udogi as well was really good. Tell of course got a much needed goal, but Kudus with the goal and an assist, and he could have had another. He missed a big chance as well. But I thought he's been the difference. 1 goal, 4 assists in the Premier League so far. It's turning out to be a remarkable piece of business, and I knew it was always going to be the case because he's too good a player. Despite the poor return he had at West Ham last season, it's really good to see him back in form and shining through. So big point, 3 points for Spurs to kick off the weekend's fixtures. Heading into the 3 p.m. Premier League game, we had Arsenal run out 2-0 winners to West Ham. Really comfortable, really commanding performance from them. I thought West Ham, hung in there. They were in the game, but yeah, I think Arsenal at this moment of time, the quality they have, the options they have, especially off the bench, because Odegaard unfortunately got injured again, had to come off at the half an hour mark, and I thought that changed the game because till then, in the first half an hour, West Ham were hanging on. They were holding their own, but I thought Zubimendi's introduction changed the game, and Arsenal became a lot more solid and just a lot more efficient and effective. When Zubimendi came on, he really controlled the tempo and dictated the game really well. Allowed Declan Rice to, of course, play more as an eight into more further forward positions, and of course that also proved dividends with Rice backing the second goal, and of course Saka. Sorry, Rice back in the first goal and Saka with the penalty, of course. So good win for West Ham, for Arsenal against West Ham, fairly routine and comfortable win. Heading on to Old Trafford, really good, rare win for Ruben Amorim. It's always going to be a tough game. But I was a little bit disappointed, honestly, for Sunderland. I expect a little bit more. Even if I had United as favourites for this game, just because the fact it was at Old Trafford. But I expect a little bit more from Sunderland. I thought they, weirdly enough, they didn't have the belief that they're going to get a result, that they're going to get a point, which is a bit shame because they have the quality, but I thought they lacked a little bit of self belief. And I thought United were very, very dominant and comfortable as a result of that. I thought once Sunderland went two back three, they looked a lot better. But the damage was already done. Mount with a very good, very smart finish early on in the game, and then Sesko as well with a close finish, from close range, poking home, and 2 goals were more than enough ultimately on the day. It was also a bright debut for Saint Lamens in between the sticks. He was impressive. He did what he had to do, claim the crosses well, he saved a one-on-one. So good going from him. And a good win for United, a much needed win. Heading on to the Saturday 5:30 kickoff, Chelsea versus Liverpool, and this was definitely the pick of the games. I thought, and I had a feeling that Chelsea were going to do this. We're going to turn over Liverpool, just given Liverpool's form as well. But honestly, you have to tip your hat off to Chelsea, like with the players missing, Fofana, Colville, no Chalobah in defence, no Palmer, of course, going forward. Well, they had key personnel out, um, and to still, not just get the win, but the way they won again, the performance, that speaks volumes. I thought they were really strong, and they were worthy winners at the end. Of course, Caicedo opened the scoring with an absolute screamer. Um, the 1-2 absolutely did. McAllister, he was chasing shadows all game, and Caicedo definitely showed levels to his former teammate. But the finish was quite emphatic, from 25 yards out, top left corner, no chance for Mamadou Shiriri. And it's not just a goal, one thing for me is like I'm seeing after the game, firstly, I'm very happy to see him, Caicedo, get the plaudits, but it shouldn't take him to score a goal, score a decisive goal to get that, because for me, he's been the best midfielder in the Premier League for a while now. I think not just this season, I think this calendar year, a large part of last season, he would have, he made my team of the season last season. Uh, so it's been unbelievable. Again, you only have to watch Chelsea. Look, as far as Chelsea fans, anything, if you watch Chelsea on a consistent basis, like I do, I think he's head and shoulders their best player, their most pivotal player. And again, he was unbelievable. Again, just goal aside, even had he not scored, he would have been for me man of the match, because he was unbelievable. He broke up play so well, and really dominated that midfield, and grabbed it from the scruff of the neck. Um, of course, Liverpool I thought were better in the second half. Like they mostly are. Gakpo got a goal from close range, a bit fortuitous because Isak did not mean that assist, but it was a very open game, a very end to end, even at 1-1. But I thought Chelsea had had the better share of the final 20, and that was what led to the dramatic winner from Estevao. For Cucurella did really well, great ball across. Andrew Robertson was sleeping at the back post, and Estevao tapped in. Huge credit to him as well. He had a really positive impact, even aside from the goal. And one thing what I like really about him is the fact he gets into these goal scoring positions. As a youngster, that's something that needs coaching, but he has a good sense of goal, and he's always kind of in and amongst the right positions. So yeah, absolute limbs at the end at Stamford Bridge, but I thought Chelsea were deserved winners at the end. Great to see Badisho again. I think he picked up a knock, both centre halves, but I thought both Badisho and Achimpong were unbelievable. They locked up Isak. Um, Cucurella was sensational again. Salah did not have a single say in the whole game, bar one cross to Isak. And it was a really good team performance. The fact is, you can pick up any player, and every player had a decent showing in the game. I thought again James was really good. Gusto, to his credit, in midfield, he did really well, which I wasn't quite anticipating. I thought Enzo was really strong. Garnacho ran circles around Bradley. Neto, ran hard, and he caused Kirk's issues. So as a real team performance, but for Liverpool, again, I point towards the manager. I have question marks. I'm not convinced. But on the players, well, it's the same story. I think again, Connor Bradley is not Liverpool level. He's just not good enough for that level. Konate again, he's been awful all season. He's struggling. I thought Van Dijk had a poor game. He should have done a lot better for the Caicedo goal. Kirk has again been poor all season. McAllister has been shocking all season. He may be still unfit, who knows, but it's still not acceptable the level he's playing at. Gravenberg had a tough game, even though he's more often than not the only guy in midfield who's holding his own for Liverpool, but he had a tough game. Salah was anonymous. For Szoboszlai again, not much either. Isak was anonymous, and Gakpo as well was really poor. Bar the goal, he really didn't do anything of note. And Mr. £125 million as well, Florian Wirtz. I think that's what 009, 0010. I've lost track. He's I have I'm concerned for him. I have serious doubts because physically he just looks so off it. That is bigger issue I think at play. Intensity wise, he's struggling to cope. He's too slow as well. On the ball, he's not incisive enough. He's taking too much time, too many touches. He's getting bullied off the ball. A lot of misplaced passes. So there's a lot of worrying signs for Liverpool. Ekitike is for me the only bright spark this season, and I think it's looking more and more likely by the week that he's kind of the only good signing. Now that doesn't mean that Isak and Words are bad players, but I just think that Isak, well, it's overrated. I kept saying that all summer. The the pedestal that people, the fans put him at is one thing, because he's not looking the same. He's not looking fit. He's been really, really poor. Let's say it as it is. So yeah, huge concern for Liverpool. They really need to get their act together. Three consecutive losses on the bounce, and they'll be hosting Manchester United. Um, After the international breaks, that'll be a must win game. Really important game for Liverpool. Heading on to Spain, Real Madrid ran out 3-1 winners against Villarreal in the evening kickoff in La Liga on Saturday evening. And, I feel for Villarreal again. This has been a common issue that I've picked up on in Madrid games, but again, I think very fortuitous. The penalties that Real Madrid get, they're inexplicable because it's almost gotten to the point where only I can only really see Real Madrid get the penalties that they get, not no other side. That's the level we've got to. And again, the red card as well was a farce. It was never a red card. Vinicius dived and made the most. There was never a second yellow, and that also changed the game. But yeah, man, they just got the job done. Vinicius with a good goal to give Madrid the lead, but the penalty I thought again was quite soft. Not a lot in it. Then McCarthy scored a really good goal, and it's 2-1. And at that point, game was on. 20 minutes to go. Villarreal were in the game. Even in the first half, they had their moments. But of course, after the sending off, they're never gonna mount a comeback. And Mbappe obviously didn't have the greatest game, but he still got a goal and assist. Has the form he's in, and he capped off his evening with Madrid's third and a good win against a good side. It's a good 3 points for Real Madrid. Serie A I thought was hugely entertaining. We had the early kickoff with Lazio Torino, really fun game, late drama there. Really good game if any of you guys caught it. But we'll head on to Inter Cremonese. Cremonese were obviously also unbeaten before this game. They still are in a very good position in the league. Um, so it wasn't an easy game on paper. Of course, they also won at San Siro, beating AC Milan in match day one. But I thought Inter were outstanding. Honestly, they were breathtaking. They were sensational. And like I said with Inter, I feel like going forward they have a lot more ammunition. I feel like they're a lot better this season. Last season, for example, you had Marko Arnautovic and Mehdi Taremi, as their third and fourth choice strikers, uh, backing up Lautaro and Thuram. But I think that's the key difference this time around. You have Boni and Pio Esposito, and those two guys are ginormous upgrades. And Boni, of course, had a wonderful day out. I think it's been a really good signing. Really good to see him do well. Goal and 3 assists. I thought he was sensational. Of course, he made the most with Thuram being out injured. And it was a really convincing win from start to finish. Cremonese they had no chance really. So this game as well, Atalanta Como, was a really fun watch. It could have gone either ways. Of course, Atalanta opened the scoring, 30 Samardzic. But I thought the real MVP for me, man of the match, was Maximo Perone. It was unbelievable in midfield. He made a goal line clearance as well, just uh, moments before he equalised himself. He was outstanding and a really top player. Again, good to see him control the tempo, dictate the play from midfield. But it's a really strong game, very open game. Karnashevsky was outstanding. He made a couple of really smart saves. From Dicunia. And Suleiman, I think Lookman had a big chance. He probably could have done better, should have scored, arguably. But it could have gone either way, honestly. But at the same time, I don't think either side deserved to lose, dare I say so. Maybe a draw was a fair result, but really fun game. Um, in Bergamo, heading into the Bundesliga action, we had a top of the table clash. Not exactly top of the table, but top three clash. Dortmund hosting Leipzig. Again, a really good game, of course. Much like Atalanta Como, they did share the spoils, but very open game. Good game to watch. Of course, it was Baumgartner who gave Leipzig the lead from a set piece, smartly finished. And then Jan Korto, he's having a really good season, playing in his preferred position as a right wing back. He finished smartly as well to equalise um, the game, and it was quite a fun game. I thought there were chances at both ends. Sokoba was good. He made a couple of good saves from Baumgartner. Adiemi had a couple, pop shots as well. Girassi was in the game. It was really tight game. Could have gone either ways. But I thought Leipzig did well at the end to get a point. But of course, Bayern Munich were the biggest winners, of that. Uh, so now that they're 4 points clear. So still a good game at Signal Iduna Park. Good to see Leipzig back to their, level, back to their best after a tough, torrid last season. Heading into Frankfurt, it was one-way traffic here. Again, like we say it for most, if not all, Bayern games this season, they've been that convincing. And they really dispatched Frankfurt again. I thought just the sheer quality on display was too good for Frankfurt to cope with, especially with their defensive troubles, having shipped 5 goals in Madrid. They had to take another 3 at home this time around. Just they couldn't cope with the patterns of play that Bayern were were about. Luis Diaz was unplayable, undoubtedly the man of the match with a goal and 2 assists. Nabry, Olise, all of them again, two of man, unbelievable. I have to give a huge shout out to Conrad Leimer, who for me has been the best right back in the world this season. He's been that good. He played left back this game, but that tells you how good he's been. You can put him in either flank. He's been amongst the best in the world this season. He's a top player, so he deserves a lot more credit. Kimmich was really good, and yeah, I thought it was a very thumping win, like always seen with Bayern this season, man. So top performance for them. Um, Heading into Sunday's fixtures, firstly in the Premier League, we had, of course, the game we're going to look into was the Brentford Manchester City. Um, yeah, I thought again, really good win for City. Not an easy game against Brentford's first loss at home. They were unbeaten at home prior, but I thought they deserved it against City. First half was unbelievable. They had a lot of chances. They could have scored. Reinders again came really close, but they're really dominant. It could have been a lot more. Foden, was a little bit selfish. I thought in the first half because they could have definitely scored. But it was Haaland who gave them the lead again. Another assist from Guardiola. But Haaland, that was his goal. He made that. The way he bullied Van der Bergen, and that's not any centre back is a strong unit, Van der Berg, but he still shoved him off and absolutely slapped it past Kelleher. So again, like we speaking with Haaland, in the flow, in the moment he is, he needs half a chance and he's going to score. It's that good. That 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 generational. He's just unbelievable, honestly. Yeah. So he's really for me looking in his best flow, best form that I've seen. Not just in the Man City shirt, but I think in general, it's, this is so far been the best of we've seen of Holland, and there's still so much improvement. He's only 25, so yeah, I think he's just going to continue to go from strength to strength and get better. Um, the second half again, like in a lot of City games, the tempo was a little bit down, but at no point did I think Brentford were really going to score. They had one huge chance at the start of the second half where Guardiola made a mistake and Thiago was through on goal, but Donnarumma came up good. He was big. And aside from that, despite the long throws and the corners, it was not enough. I thought City did really well to handle the physicality and yeah, really strong win. Defense was outstanding. I think the whole back four, goalkeeper included, were unbelievable again. The Diaz Guardiola partnership is blossoming really well. Nunes was for me man of the match. I thought he was that good. O'Reilly again really good, and also I think huge shout out to Nico Gonzalez as well. He played 70 minutes after Rodri had to go off with a knock, but yeah, I thought he was sensational. It was really unbelievable the way he played, and yeah, he's just a really good player. Honestly, very underrated. I feel like not just by football fans, but I think by Man City fans themselves. Like, yeah, he's coming on really well, and I think he's a perfect long-term pair and replacement of Rodri. So yeah, looking really good. Is Nico Gonzalez, and a good win for City. They continue their form and their momentum that they're on. In Spain, though, was the biggest shocking, result and upset of the weekend. It was Sevilla smashing Barcelona 4-1. Yeah, I did not see that coming. I don't think any of us did, but it was fully deserved as well. Can't say it was no smash or grab. And they were really on it, Sevilla, and they really exploited that high line of Barcelona really, really well. I do want to say that unfortunately, again, the first goal penalty was never a penalty. Araujo did no wrong. He couldn't have done anything, and that did change the game because the first goal of the game was obviously really important. So yeah, that kind of shifted it to Sevilla's favour, and then, of course, Romero made it 2-0 in the first half. Rashford got a goal back at the stroke of half time, but then, of course, there was a key moment as well where Lewandowski missed the penalty when they were 2-1 down Barca. So who knows what could have happened had he scored. Uncharacteristic of him, to not even hit the target. But that's credit to Sevilla, the ambience, the pressure they created on and off the pitch. The fans were amazing as well. And the game just opened up really in the final 10 minutes where Barca were really, looking for the equaliser, and that's where Carbona and Adams capitalized and gave Sevilla a huge win. 4-1, they're in great form as well, so big win for them. And a upset for Barcelona right before the El Clasico. So, yeah, big result there. Moving on to Celta Vigo versus Atletico Madrid. Again, I think another frustrating game from Atleti. It's what could have been because they got 1-0 up, of course, through an own goal. But it's also obviously always a tough place to go Celta. But the red card was really stupid. I can't lie. And two yellows, and it was a right sending off. You can't even complain. It's poor from Longley. A player of his experience should not be, doing that. So he should have done a lot better. And that put Atleti on the back foot, and Celta really ramped up the pressure. I thought second half they were really good. The goal was coming, it was always going to come. I thought, and Iago Aspas who put the finishing touches and gave Celta a deserved point. It could have been worse. So I think Atleti will probably take the point, even if it's a missed opportunity. Of course, Barca losing, but yeah, frustrating game again. It's what could have been had it not been for the red. Who knows? Moving on to Serie A, where this was an amazing game as well. I just want to briefly touch in Florence. Roma, huge win for them. They came back from behind, and not an easy place to go. Of course, Fiorentina have not been in the best form this season, but really fun game, open game. But the win does mean that Roma are second and joint top, with Napoli. So it's a lot on the line. And yeah, I thought they played really well. And Sule, huge credit. He was man of the match, and I think he's been one of the most shining and brightest lights, not just in Serie A, but in Europe this season. He's been that good. Under Gasperini, we know Gasperini's ability to really maximize his players and get the best out of them, like we saw with Lookman and so many, Zapata, Muriel, so many Atalanta forwards. So I'm sure and hope he's going to do the same with Roma, and Sule is being the beneficiary of it. He's such a supreme talent, so really good to see him, you know, given the freedom and really expressing himself to the fullest. In Naples, good win for Napoli again. They just find a way. I think they found a way in a lot of games. It's champions doing what champions do best. Again, not the most convincing. Genoa, of course, not the easiest team to play, but they came back from behind, and Anguissa and Hoyland did enough to give them the win. Yeah, again, I don't think they played the best, but good for a change. That, I thought Neres was good. De Bruyne got a rest, so that was decent. But yeah, I thought Hoyland did really well. I thought Anguissa was definitely man of the match. So he was outstanding. He got the goal, and he's been popping in with key goals, and then he got he kind of almost he made the Hoyland goal as well with his shot. Being parried into Hoyland's part, but also De Bruyne as well off the bench made a huge impact. He changed the game state, and Napoli were able to get the joy and score the two goals, courtesy his, just his presence on the pitch. So big win for the Scudetto champions. Um, the main game in Italy though was Juventus versus Milan in on Sunday evening, and yeah, really good game again. I think it lived up to the hype. But it's one that's a missed opportunity. I think that's the key word that comes up with this game, because it was really a missed opportunity. I thought they were the better team. Milan, they threatened more. They had more of an active threat. And of course, we can't go without saying Pulisic, of course, missing the penalty, skying it, which is very uncharacteristic. Unlike him, you expect him to score. That was a key moment. But outside that as well, Jimenez had a very decent chance as well in the game. And laid on Rafael Leao had a couple of glorious chances um, to score the only goal and to get all 3 points, but it wasn't meant to be. Juve, like, they find a way to not lose. Again, that's a third draw in the league this season. We saw it last season as well. Even when they don't play well, when they're not that convincing, and they weren't, they find a way not to lose. On Juve, I feel like, and Diego was massive, of course, but I'm not a fan of this formation. I just don't feel the need. I think they could play a back four. I don't like Kalulu at right wing back. I don't think that's a good stylistic fit, and he's struggling, and they're not getting much out of him. That's the whole point. So it's really right now the team is very heavily reliant on Yildiz. David as well has been struggling. He's had a slow start to life in Turin. But for me, they're very bright again. Salamanca was very good. But I have to speak about one pitch who for me was man of the match again. And he was the best player on the pitch, hands down. And for him to be the best player on the pitch, week in, week out now, we're talking every game for Milan. That tells you everything you need to know about the level he's operating at. So it's really remarkable and truly astounding. I really didn't see it coming. I didn't envisage him to be as good, as dominant as he's been, but he's been doing everything. He's been controlling the tempo, dictating the play, creating chances, scoring goals, defensively everybody still has the legs to go around. He was unbelievable, I thought again. So still not at the worst point in the ball for Milan, but a missed opportunity because I thought they could have won. They probably should have won. They were the better team on the night. Lastly, in Liga, we go to Lille, who held PSG 2-1 draw. Really fun game as well. Quite an open game. But PSG took the lead courtesy Nuno Mendes again. I'm running out of adjectives for this player. The free kick, if you haven't seen it, was out of this world. He came on as a sub at the hour mark, and he just smashed it top right corner from 35 yards out. Like he has no right, to score from that range. And at this point, you have to beg the question, like, is there anything he can't do? Because he can quite literally do everything at this point. He can score, assist, defend, and now free kicks as well. It's quite scary to see how good he is. But Leo, found a way, and it was the former PSG academy man, Ethan Mbappe. Funnily enough, Kylian was also watching on, and he celebrated a good finish from Ethan Mbappe off the bench, a good left foot curler into the bottom left corner, which left Chevalier no chance, and a good point, a very decent point for Leo as well. Um, so that was that of round of match day 7 and football frenzy. I hope you guys liked it. Do like and subscribe. Do comment down below how your team went about uh, and which players caught your eye, what, what you most enjoyed. Let me know. Thank you for watching as always. Love and guidance.